Yeah, frame raider.
Have you ever felt that Serious Sam 4 could have been better? You might feel that way after checking out what the community's done with it. Two devoted Serious Sam modders, Sacor and Danny S, set out to remaster two of the most discussed Serious Sam 4 levels, A Breakfast in France and in Carcassonne. Let's talk about it. I've long felt that A Breakfast in France was doomed from the start, being overhyped and exaggerated with what it would aim to achieve. In the end, it was quite empty, and while the fights were enjoyable, it could have used some fine-tuning to better suit its role of being larger than Skyrim or The Crew. Sacor's Remaster doesn't use all that empty space, that'd probably destroy my computer. However, it does make better use of the intended play areas, with added structures, new fights, etc. It's fun, but I do feel there's only so much you can do with a level that's already been structured like this. If you're interested, the mod includes two iterations, midday like the original, or sunrise to better fit the breakfast title. In Carcassonne, however, is the highlight of the mod for me, and the focus of today's discussion. The original level is one of Serious Sam 4's best. It takes place later into the game, so therefore the combat is intense. And now, the remaster. As you've likely noticed, it takes liberties with the visual style, something Sacor has proven to be quite good at, as seen in his previous Serious Sam HD remaster. Most areas have been tweaked for more attention to detail, bringing life to those repetitive castle walls. For example, there are significantly more tentacles lying around. That's one of Serious Sam 4's prominent themes, which I felt Croteam didn't embrace as well as they could have. Additionally, the time of day has been adjusted for sunset, there are mental flags and towers, shrubbery, etc. Enemy textures have been changed to more closely resemble their classic counterparts. But that's not all, as many of the enemies have been remastered with new tactics and behaviors. Frankly, it's a list too big to go through, but as one example, snipers are no longer hit scan, which was a much needed quality of life improvement, as in certain battles these guys are beyond frustrating to deal with. I'll also mention the secondary animations added to many of them, which if I'm not mistaken already existed, being scrapped content from the final game. Whether they be subtle or major, all enemy changes that I made note of affected the combat in a positive way. Your weapons have gone through a couple of changes too, beyond the change of view models. Danny S has added plenty of cool effects, such as how the first-person player model will glow when picking up health items. My favorite new effect is the laser gun's small electric explosion, which blows up the corpses of smaller enemy types. Functionally, weapons are for the most part the same as vanilla. However, I did notice two weapons with performance tweaks. The sniper now zooms in immediately and uses the classic crosshair. More much-needed changes if I say so myself. And then there's the Devastator, which interestingly had its scope completely removed. This was likely done as part of an effort to make the game more challenging. To expand on that, skill tree points are also missing, so you'll have to rely on the setup that they've chosen here. Worry not, as you still have access to your gadgets and the pistols can still be dual-wielded. Other advantages include having the rocket launcher available from the start, unlike in vanilla where you get it a few minutes later. In place of that is the auto shotgun, which you won't have from a clean startup in vanilla. Also worth mentioning is the removal of melee, a function that would be somewhat useless without the skill tree advantages that it could provide. Admittedly, these were a little derpy. Some might consider this remaster a more hardcore experience from the changes it makes, although to say that would be ignorant to the truly hardcore mods that one could debate goes beyond what is reasonable for balancing. The remaster is nothing like those, but that isn't to say it's not difficult. If you're an inexperienced player, you might have some troubles with the hard or higher difficulties. I do believe that the mod is balanced enough so that any casual player could run through its normal difficulty without pulling their hair out. That is, unless you find the abundance of new explosive barrels causing unexpected deaths. On occasion, I'd find myself dying for reasons unknown, only to find that there was a barrel there. Indeed, that can be frustrating, though more so because I wasn't used to them existing in Serious Sam 4. Once I was able to detect and use them properly in battle, they became a welcomed addition to the carnage. You'll often see Octanian raiders flying around, causing havoc to the environment below, but never targeting you in particular. You can shoot them down with enough firepower, but good luck with how fast they are. I'd only suggest using the sniper rifle for this, though you don't have a real incentive to destroy them anyways.
Well, that went nowhere.
Here's a new enemy that they've introduced, the Tentacle. These guys emerge from a small hole, giving you a big ol' smack several seconds after they've ascended. This gives you just enough time to take out the machete and chop it to pieces in one swing. Oh yeah, here's what they've replaced the knife with. Other than for nostalgia, I see no reason for Sam to be using that tiny knife anyways. This machete is far more fitting. Fun fact is that in beta, Sam would use a machete instead of the knife. Nobody seems to know why they replaced it for the final game, but it's back, and it's better. Another enemy type has been added, the Octanian Grenadier. This variant of the Octanian race was scrapped pretty late into Serious Sam 4's development, but were added back in the eventual Siberian Mayhem campaign. They throw grenades, as if you weren't expecting that. An indicator on the HUD will show you where their grenades have been thrown. In addition, they make a fairly loud beeping sound to alert the player of their presence. Bit of a stupid move there, Octanians. These can be annoying, but with the audio and visual cues in place, they're easy to take care of. There are several excellent scripted events in this mod, some of which put a huge spin on the combat, which is greatly appreciated. Others are more visual, and I'm not going to show too much because I feel like these ideas are best discovered by the player. All I can say is, Sacor and Danny had some great ideas that all Serious Sam fans need to see. Much unlike the fusion projectile bug that actually does still exist in Serious Sam 4 post-patch. But at this point, I'm sick of complaining about it. Regarding optimizations, they've done a great deal here. One element that's changed is the gore, which I've been told was not optimized well in the vanilla game. Your foes still explode like gore pinatas, and that's what matters most. As you've witnessed yourself by this point, the performance of the mod here is still less than stellar, even with their many optimizations. Performance issues aren't just on my end either, it's a common complaint. I asked the two about it, and it seems like the issues are more of an engine problem. Sacor's told me that resaving vanilla maps causes the FPS to be worse by default, even if very few changes are made. Serious Engine 4 in its current state isn't the most stable, to say the least. My PC isn't quite modern anyways, so you'll probably have less issues than I did. Hey, I would upgrade, but shit's expensive right now. That and I mostly talk about previous gen games. Is there anything else here to comment on? Sure, I suppose, but I'm finished with the critiques now, because the majority of what's negative to say about it is related to performance, which is seemingly beyond their control. This mod deserves a playthrough by anyone who even mildly enjoyed Serious Sam 4. The vanilla experience always had potential, and this is what it looks like to actually live up to it. But of course that all depends on your perspective. Now that all's said and done, be sure to check out this great mod on Serious Sam 4's Steam Workshop page. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you Frame Raiders in the next video.
Frame Raider.